the Lord woke me up at about 2 a.m., and that's the time He tends to wake me up if He's got something to say. And this was so serious that I did something I very seldom do. I had to get out of bed, kneel by my bed, and pray. And God was dealing with me also, but He said to me, "Dear Lord," He said, "are you willing to ask me, Jesus, to give you my heart for America?" I said, "Lord, what are you asking?" I don't have any way to understand the depth of your grief over America. And you want me to ask for your heart for America? It came to me, the word that really sums up the attitude of Jesus toward America at this time is disappointment. He is disappointed. He has done for this nation more, I believe, in many ways than He's ever done for any other nation in human history, spiritually and materially. And what has been the response of the nation? I think disappointment is the mildest word you could use to express the reaction of Jesus. And He said, "Are you willing to ask me to give you my heart for America?" This was a very real interview. And I said after a while, "Lord, the people of America have been so kind to me. They've honored me. They've supported me. They've brought my ministry forth. How could I ever say I won't ask you to give me your heart for America?" So I'd have to say reluctantly, I said, "Okay, Lord, if that's what you want, give me your heart for America." And a little while later, Ruth and I prayed together on that. And we said, "Lord, give us your heart for America." And I want to tell you, it's a broken heart. It's a heart that's deeply, deeply grieved. He said, "What more could I have done for that nation than I have done?" And see how they've responded. Now, I am aware God has His precious saints in America, many of them. Some of them are here this morning. But listen. Now, this is God's response to the situation that He's described. "So I sought for a man among them who would make a wall and stand in the gap before me on behalf of the land, that I should not destroy it." One man. And one of the most tragic statements in the Bible was, "I found no one," not even one man, and said, "Therefore I have poured out my indignation on them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath, and I have recompensed their deeds on their own heads." Notice that "therefore." If I could have found one man, I could have spared them. How is it with you? Can the Lord find somebody? More than one person? Can the Lord say to His church, "Will you stand before me in the gap for this land? Will you make up a wall that I do not have to pour out the last drops of my wrath upon them?" That's a question I'm asking you this morning. Some of you have been bringing personal needs to us, needs for healing and prayer of other kinds. We are not indifferent. But I have stalled because I had a feeling that until this issue was dealt with, God would not release much of His grace. And I do believe if we respond rightly this morning, God can do some wonderful things here. I want to go now to the prophet Amos. I owe something to John Anderson for directing my attention to Amos and Hosea. They are the two of the most up-to-date prophets for America today. And unfortunately, most American Christians hardly know what they say. Let me tell you this, all Scripture is profitable for doctrine, reproof, correction, instruction in righteousness. All Scripture. If you don't study the whole Bible, you're depriving yourself of God's provision for you. And let me say the minor prophets are minor only in length, not in content. One real good example of this is that Paul based his whole doctrine of justification by faith on part of a verse in the prophet Habakkuk. How many of you know about Habakkuk? I've heard people say there are so many millions of born-again Christians. Some people say 30, some say even 40 million in the United States. I say, well, if they are, where are they? And what are they doing? And why is the nation going downhill steadily all the time? There's only one explanation. If they really are Christians, they are salt that has lost its savor. You know what Jesus said about salt that has lost its savor? It's thenceforth good for nothing. Good for nothing, that's bad language, isn't it? But to be thrown out and to be trampled underfoot by men. And I want to tell you that if the Church of the United States does not change, it will be trampled underfoot by men. And there are a lot of men pretty eager today to trample the church underfoot. Is that right? There's an extraordinary hatred of Christ and the church today in the United States. I came here first, as I told you, in 1963. I told people I was a minister. And everybody showed me respect. I wasn't used to it, because you don't get that treatment in Europe. But I was impressed. Porters, doctors, everybody. It's not so today. Today it's probably wiser not to tell people what you are if you're a minister in this country. Because there's a deep undercurrent of hatred and contempt for everything associated with Jesus Christ.